In our first edition today, we center our conversation around mental health, a condition that has not only affected over 500 million people globally, but has also affected quite a number in Uganda. Now, we woke up to shocking news that 14 million Ugandans are actually suffering from a mental health problem, and 1 out of 4 people are actually said to be suffering from a mental health disorder or a neurological disorder at their point in their lives. But before we dive into our conversation, let us see what Sarah has for us regarding mental health, especially among the youth.
What would drive a student or a young person who has promising hopes into making such a drastic decision, such as taking their life? And joining me today is a gentleman who is a counseling psychologist right here at the Chambogo University in the Department of Psychology. He's also the PRO of the Uganda Counseling Society. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kakinda Adrian Ivan. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sarah.
So, Mr. Kakinda Adrian, as a psychology expert, what is suicide and what would drive somebody who is young and promising to, make the decision to take their own life?
Yeah, suicide, in simple terms to anyone who is watching right there, is an attempt of one ending life. So that intention is what we call suicide, because it may be a suicide attempt or it may be a real action of someone ending life.
Yes.
So that intention or that activity someone does to end with the intention of ending life is what we call suicide. And of course there are very many factors as to why someone would contemplate of committing suicide. Very many people or very many students, some people do attempt and the suicide is not successful in courts. They don't end life. So
yes,
various people have contemplations in their minds, they're thinking, they're having an idea, but the idea doesn't materialize. Those
yes,
are very many. And some people, those who have the attempt, they end up committing suicide, and that one is very common and very unfortunate to our young people, because suicide in Uganda is common in the young people. These are 15 to 29 years, which is unfortunate, whereby you
said 15 to 29 years. That is so early. What could possibly be stressing out a 15-year-old?
Well, there you have it. It is so sad and so unfortunate to actually know that people from the ages of 15 to 29 years old are suffering from a mental disorder. Well, before we get into our discussion, we are going to find out why this is the case. And we have a report with us today from the Ministry of Health that actually shows Uganda is ranked among the top 6 countries in Africa with 14 million people suffering from mental disorder. Now, the rate of depression disorders and some are living with anxiety disorders stands at 4.6% and 2.9% respectively. This is so hard to take in, especially as a country. And we also see that out of 100 Ugandans, 35 are said to be battling a mental health problem. As we go on, we see that COVID-19 is one of the major factors that actually led people to suffer from mental health diseases. And this has come with time, especially after the lockdown that led people into depression, anxiety, and even causing them to abuse alcohol and other substances. We go on to see that the female species is actually, rather they stand at 5.1% that who are actually affected by mental health disorders compared to the men. And we are going to find out why this is the case with Dr. Juliet Naku, who's going to give us more details as to why women are prone and why it is so prevalent for especially the ladies to suffer from this disorder. We had a discussion with human rights activist Dorothy Amiron from SEHAD Uganda. Let's take a look at what she has to say about mental health.
22. I think for me, I was not shocked as a person that is dealing with the societies, given the background of the COVID pandemic that took us by shock or storm in 2022. I think COVID made issues that we've been sweeping under the carpet come to the surface. And one of them was actually mental health illness that we've ignored for a long time because we think it's a disease for the white, for the European, for the West. When someone says, I'm stressed, I am anxious, I have anxiety, you know, we say, no, that is, you know, something that is the usual. We don't associate it with health. But when COVID came in, COVID, first of all, in itself, a pandemic, brought in regulations or management of the pandemic in a way that it was taking out our social aspect. Normally, human beings were social human beings. You can go visit, you can go to a bar, you know, you can go to an office physically, but COVID was saying stay in your homes. Do not socialize. Naturally, by the virtue of these guidelines, it was taking away something that was going to definitely increase the rates of mental health related challenges within our population. We saw people traumatized, stigmatized against, people locked up in homes where there was sexual abuse, there was domestic violence, there was verbal abuse. Like, you know, violence is broad, but you found scenarios where people were defiling young girls, and even boys are defiled, isn't it? We saw people getting unwanted pregnancies. We saw people failing to show up to work and starving in their households. The poverty margins shot up. And where there's poverty, there's anger. Where there's anger, there's depression. So all these are issues that when we're talking about mental health, we tend to overlook or underlook. Yet they are the broader picture of what mental health is actually like, because health is mental. Complete mental well-being of a person, in addition to the social environment or other factors. So for me, personally, in terms of the rates and on behalf of the organization, COVID was an amplifier of mental health.
Well, there you have it from Dorothy Amiron, the human rights activist of SEHAD. Mental health is equally important, just like our physical health.